What's up, guys? This is Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be breaking down some film here from Joe Milton, University of Tennessee quarterback, and how he can throw this ball 80-plus yards and how you as a quarterback can improve your arm strength. So I hope this video helps you guys out. Hope it could teach you a few new things, but also, fellas, if you are a quarterback and you would like to improve your skills at reading defenses, you want 500-plus videos just like this one where we break down defensive coverages, the best plays that are going to work against those coverages, and we organize each specific video into a playlist labeled man coverage, cover 2, cover 3, cover 4, etc. So check out that very first link in the description below if you want to improve your football IQ and learn how to read defenses as a quarterback. Let's get started with this video. So this first clip we're looking at here from Joe Milton is a very, very recent clip of him throwing at some quarterback camp or some kind of quarterback showcase, if you will. And he's throwing this ball probably 80 yards with some air, like it's landing on 80 yards. This is an insane throw, and we're going to talk about how he's able to generate so much velocity. So as we all well know, throw power comes from two specific areas in your body, and it is not your arm, it is not your shoulder, it is your legs, and it is going to be your hips. But it's not so much about just driving off your back leg and rotating with your hips. It's about the timing of the drive off the back leg, aka the weight transfer, and the rotation of your hips. It's all about being able to generate torque. That is how you guys can improve your arm strength. Now, if you're a high school quarterback, do you need to throw the ball 80 yards? No, you don't need to throw the ball 80 yards, but you need to be able to drive the ball downfield. Because I guarantee you this, if you're a high school quarterback or a youth quarterback and you have dreams and aspirations of playing at the next level, guys, you need to have some arm strength to be able to play at the next level. And this is how I'm going to teach you today how we can get that arm strength. So when you guys go to throw, it's all about throwing sequence, right? So a kinetic sequence, a kinetic chain, some people call it. I call it a throwing sequence. And your throwing sequence is broken down into 4 parts. The first part of your throwing sequence is going to be your base. I personally like saying that you want to try to get maybe about 65 to 70% of your weight onto your back leg. Now, we don't want to have 60 to 70% on my back leg so I could keep that weight on my back leg. I want to have that weight on my back leg so I could transfer it through. So I could transfer that weight to my front foot that only has 30, 40% of the weight on it. That transfer is how I get power. But again, it's not just about transferring off the back leg. It's about the timing of the weight transfer. So that's the first part of your throwing sequence. You have to be able to get to that base. The second part of the throwing sequence is going to be the front stride. You want to try to get this front stride down as quickly as possible and as closely inside of your frame as possible. Your foot, your front foot, and your back foot should never be located outside of your shoulder frame. Everything should stay inside of your shoulder frame here. Now, the third part of the throwing sequence is going to be that weight transfer in that hip rotation. The weight transfer from the back leg, you shifting weight from your back leg to your front leg, is how your back hip is able to drive through. And then the last part of the throwing sequence is going to be the shoulders and the ball. So it needs to happen in that order. And you're going to see throughout all these clips, that's why Joe Milton is able to throw the ball so far. Yeah, he's a big dude. Yeah, he weighs a lot. And that certainly helps. But if you're even a smaller quarterback and you can master this throwing sequence, you will see more distance on your deep ball, on your deep throws. So it breaks down to those 4 parts: base, stride, hips, and then shoulders. Now, like I said, the shoulders is the last part and the hips is the second to last part. But that's probably the most important part because that's how you generate torque. Throwing a football far with some velocity is a lot like hitting a baseball. When you're in the batter's box, I don't know how many of you guys play baseball, but you're holding the bat back here. What happens when that pitcher throws you a ball? You take a step with the front foot, and does the bat go through the same time the front foot steps? No, you keep the bat loaded on the back shoulder, and then you pivot off of your back toe, bringing the bat through. That's how you want to throw a football, fellas. So that's why your base is important in the throwing sequence. You want to get your weight loaded to the back leg so you can do what with your shoulders? Actually stay back with your shoulders so we could get on sequence. The mistake a lot of quarterbacks make when they're trying to throw the ball far is they get this weight back to their back leg because that's a given. You want to have some weight on your back leg so you can drive, but they will drive forward at the exact same time. When that front stride gets down, they will not have any rotation with their shoulder. They won't take the football back. That's a fancy word, or that's a simpler phrase for dissociation, hip and shoulder dissociation to be matter of fact. And that means that essentially your shoulders are separate from your hips. As your hips are going through, or as your front stride is going down rather, your shoulders stay loaded back. You physically cannot rotate back with your shoulders and get that separation if your weight goes forward. If you guys think that when you get to your back leg, your job is to push off the back foot to create your front stride, all your body weight shifts forward. You will not have a close of your front shoulder because your weight distribution rotation's going to be off. And yeah, you might be driving off the back leg, your hips might be coming through, but the timing is going to be off. Your hips or your shoulders are going to be coming through before your hips. Remember, it's not about the hip rotation, it's about the timing of the hip rotation. So you have to get to this base. And then the stride is separate from the back leg drive. So he hitches up, he gets his weight back, he steps down, but watch when he makes contact with the ground. He still has all of his weight loaded to this back leg because that's how he knows he's going to get that separation. So now he could take that weight and shift it through. His shoulders are back, the weight shift. The hip driving through before the football does. That is the definition of power right there, fellas. That is how we generate torque. It's all about the timing of the foot strike while the shoulders are back, while the weight is loaded back, so you can take that weight and shoot it through. And when that weight shoots through before the shoulders, it creates like a whipping effect. That arm whips through. And when you play this thing full speed, watch how fast his arm moves. You see how much speed his arm has. The arm speed, the distance, the velocity, the torque is all based on the timing of that throwing sequence. And now we're going to talk about a couple more examples of that on different actual live game throws. So this next throw here is an insane ball. Guys, this is probably 60 yards on a line. Like on a line too, while getting hit. Like I don't think a lot of people who have never played quarterback before don't understand how hard this throw is. Now this throw is into double coverage. I'm not saying to make this throw all the time. I'm not saying he should have made this throw. But this is a very, very impressive throw arm strength wise. And this is going to help you guys out a lot with throwing a deep fade, a deep post where you're hitching up into your drop. So let's watch this full speed. So he hitches up, and again, he throws this thing on a rope. That was not like a deep 2-ball or a 3-ball. That was a rope. Let's count. That's 5, 10, 15. How far is this? 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60 yards on a rope. That is an insane ball. So how is he able to do that? How is he able to put so much velocity onto this ball? And yes, like I said, he's a big dude. He weighs a lot. That all of those things help, fellas. I'd be lying to you if I said they didn't help. But if you're a quarterback and you're going to sit there and make that excuse like, oh, well, he's bigger than me, and you're going to act like 10, 20, maybe like 10 to 20 more yards on your deep ball by listening to what I'm saying here isn't going to help you, then you're just being completely naive and you actually don't really want to get better. You're just using these excuses of your size as a crutch. Any quarterback can improve their arm strength by focusing on their throwing sequence if you do it correctly. If you do it correctly. A lot of people know to rotate with the hips. A lot of people know to drive off the back leg, but the timing of it's off, fellas. It's all about the timing of your throwing sequence. So you see when he's rolling out of the pocket here, remember, what's the first part of my throwing sequence? It's getting weight loaded to your back leg, and then it's the front stride, then it's the hips, then it's the upper body coming through. In that order. That is what you want to focus on. So when he rolls out, you see how he's got weight loaded to his front side. So many quarterbacks, when they try to throw a deep ball downfield, they keep their weight loaded on this front side. So when you don't have any weight onto your back leg, what can't you do? You're not going to be able to drive off the back leg. And since all your weight is shifted forward, you will not be able to rotate your front shoulder back, which times up the sequence. Remember, you want that front stride to get down, and you want your shoulders to be going this way. You want the upper half separate from the lower half. But when you take that front stride, you got to maintain some weight on the back leg. That makes it easier to rotate the shoulders back, and those hips can fire through before the shoulders do. So this is like the same type of footwork you guys would do on a deep fade. You would take this, like, let's say this is the top of a 3-step drop and he's taking a hitch. I want you to see how he replaces his feet. He moves that back foot up to where the front foot is, and he shifts his weight back. Guys, that is getting to the mechanically sound position we want to get to, right? Anytime that you guys are taking a 3-step drop and a hitch, throwing a deep post, throwing a fade, this is what you guys should be trying to emphasize on your hitch. And I promise you, a lot of you think that this is common sense, but a lot of you don't do it. You guys got to have weight on the front foot at the top of the drop and then shift that weight back. You want to be light on the front foot because now look where his back foot is, 65, 70%. His back foot is located under his shoulder. So now what can he do? He could separate those shoulders. You see how his shoulders go back? What's down? Front foot is down. His weight is still loaded. His shoulder is closed. So now that's the first two parts of the throwing sequence. He had the base, he had the stride, and his shoulders are going back. So what's next? Hips are going through, and then you see the ball is trailing behind. Guys, that is the name of the game when it comes to arm strength. It's all about the timing of that sequence. Think of it like a baseball swing. Anybody that's a good hitter in baseball could probably generate torque this way. Now, Another reason, fellas, that you want to be able to get your weight back 60 to 70% and you want this back foot to be under your frame is it makes it easy to rotate your hips fully. A lot of quarterbacks have a very, very wide base. They'll kind of have their weight back, but when they take a step with that front foot, that back foot is way too wide. Their leg will extend and they can't drive this back hip through, which limits their power, fellas. But you see, when that foot's under your frame, it is very easy to get your front hip to rotate, very easy to drive your back hip through because your feet are inside your shoulder frame. Guys, this is the key recipe to be able to generate power on your throw. You have to get to that throwing sequence. Base, stride. When you stride, the shoulders go back, hips rotate through third, then the shoulders and the ball come through. So now, this is a more recent throw hit from him last season at University of Tennessee. This is another insane throw. Rolling left, flips his hips, and throws a deep fade down the field. Not an easy throw to make. Anybody that's ever played quarterback knows that this is a very, very challenging throw to make. So let's play this thing full speed, then let's watch what he does here. So he comes out here, and again, roll it, pump fakes, rolls out to the left, flips his hips, off-platform throw. I don't know how far downfield, but that is a freaking rope. He's throwing this thing to the 10 from the where? From the opposite 35. That's insane. That's an insane throw off-platform, right? Now, again, a lot of quarterbacks struggle throwing off-platform on the move, but really, honestly, fellas, just because you're moving doesn't mean the throwing sequence changes. You still have to get to your base. You still have to get the right type of stride. Yeah, you might have some momentum. Yeah, you might be moving towards the sideline after you throw it, but it's the same principles, guys. Every single throw, it is literally the same principles. It is this is how you generate power. And especially nowadays when you see quarterback position evolving, more and more guys are throwing like this. You don't believe me? Go watch Aaron Rodgers throw the ball. Go watch Patrick Mahomes throw the ball. Josh Allen, another name. Kyler Murray should not be throwing the way he's throwing at his size. Go watch their throwing mechanics. Watch their sequence. It all times up like this, you guys. So the size thing definitely helps him, like I said, but it's about the throwing sequence. So watch. When he does this move is called a hook and replace. So a hook replace is where you hook your front foot towards the target. Then you replace where your front foot is with your back foot. So now you see, when you hook and you replace, the replace step gets your weight back. You're nice and light on the front foot. So what's got to happen next? He's in the first part of the sequence. Stride gets down, and what happens when the stride gets down? Shoulders got to go back while you maintain some weight on the back leg, and then you see how he transfers through. And those hips are still coming through before the shoulders and before the ball. Guys, even when you're off platform, even when you're on the run, even when you got a clean pocket to throw, it's all about your throwing sequence, and it's about the timing of this and the timing of the transfer. If you guys want to add more distance to your deep ball, that's what you have to do. And that's how he's able to throw the ball so far. His size certainly helps, but fellas, adding extra distance to your deep throw is solely based on that throwing sequence. Obviously, you getting stronger, obviously, natural strength, natural size, all that stuff that you were born with can absolutely help. But improving that leg strength, improving your core strength, and having the right throwing sequence will give you a stronger arm as a QB. All right, fellas, I really want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you have any questions at all, don't hesitate to leave those in the comment section below. Always appreciate the feedback. It's always great to hear from you guys. And again, fellas, if you would like 500 plus videos, all based on how wide receivers and quarterbacks, mainly quarterbacks, can read defenses, break down everything, organize everything into coverage categories. So check out that very first link in the description below if you're interested in that, fellas. I'll see you guys next time.